Hey, what's up, everyone? This is the watch list video for Monday, November 28th. As expected, the SPY, the overall market, in other words, on Friday being a half day, that doesn't look like a candle at all. If you got frustrated at all trading Friday, um, always understand the circumstances, right? It's almost like nobody was trading. You might have seen a perfect setup and it didn't work, didn't follow through. You have to have participants to move a stock, right? Having said that, we did have ENSC on watch, and I called it right there. I took a screenshot. There's what I posted in chat, over 333 with Wednesday's high just above opening range breakout idea, basically. And ENSC, I'll take Friday's candle out of it. So we knew Thursday's high was 338, and we had another catalyst of 340, a recent high, right? So got that big breakout. And here's the intraday again. I already showed you the screenshot, but this is what it looked like when I called it. Just an opening range breakout. There's the opening 5-minute candle, just really right there at 334, and it worked like a charm. I mean, so it was after that, right? Nothing really moved. It was just one of those typical holidays. So ENSC came out to be a nice surprise and made it worth showing up. All right. So anyway, I don't have a very big list for Monday. I always say this, that we are at a spot where there's not a lot of great setups, but as early as Monday, there could be a couple big runners, and then we have things to watch, right? And let me put out my disclaimer here. It's not a disclaimer. Let me put out the quick explanation of what we do in case you were seeing one of my videos for the first time. There it is. I won't read it to you. You can just pause the video and read it if you want. But the very short version is, I'm in cash every night, and I'm a day trader. So this is the video of things I'll be watching and hopefully catch an A+ intraday setup on Monday, right? AMC had the nice pop back here, flagging. By the way, I made a Saturday morning video highlighting 4 trades from the week, hopefully with in-depth explanations of why we called what we called, and kind of went into how nailing the entry is very important if you want to be a professional day trader. So if you get a chance, watch that video. It's on my YouTube channel. It's just a weekly recap. AMC, I went over that trade, by the way, from Wednesday. Remember, the market was closed Thursday. Had this nice pop. Kind of a quiet inside day, but you had this big move here. You're flagging. Good news on Wednesday, and then a quiet inside day on a market holiday week, basically. And so I still like the setup. It's hard for me to get these days right because that holiday. On Wednesday, it topped out right around $8, and then on Friday, just a quiet, narrow range day. So still, to me, the setup is still valid, and it goes back on watch. There were no trades in it on Friday, but I did feel like it was certainly worth watching. LIDR, kind of a nice breakout on Friday, so we're going to watch that one for a possible follow-through setup. XPON, which I believe is lithium battery maker, hasn't been trading for too long. I think it went public on April 1st. It's been bleeding lower ever since. Biggest volume day in months on this thing, though, so maybe something's up there. We'll see if it gives a follow-through setup. Maybe interesting as well that it topped out at 175, a 3/4 number. Could come into play. We'll see. DBGI, let me zoom in a little bit here. This was on watch going into Friday. Now you had the big pop on Wednesday, market closed on Thursday, and then on Friday put in a kind of a quiet inside day. So still valid to watch for a possible push higher. DWAC is just one that seems to have bottomed after this big pop, and then the pullback and another pop. Seems to have found a bottom and is just pushing higher. Seems like almost every day. I'm going to put that on a chart. PXMD is kind of my sleeper pick. You could argue about a week ago, it did trade 28 million shares. That's a lot, right? And it's been going sideways ever since. It looks like it's trying to curl back up. Best I can tell, this has a tiny float, though. So it has potential. EVH, I'm not in love with this, but got decimated back here and then had a nice 2-week bounce, maybe topped out right around 28, maybe back through 20. It's kind of flagging below 28, maybe back through 28. I'm not in love with that setup. A similar setup would be DLO, beaten up stock that's kind of grinding, and you sort of have like a 3-day flag here, topping out at 1436. Let's see, this would have been Tuesday, and actually hit 1437 on Friday. I don't love this one either, but it's so beaten up and it seems to be holding up pretty well. We had a couple really nice trades in it on these 2 days right here. So, but again, I don't love that one. And then GRND, I got to put it back on bounce watch. This thing went nuts, went from 16 to 71.50-ish, and then straight down. We never did get a break of the early high. Let me zoom in a little bit here. All right, so there's the big day up to 71.50. The very next day, put in its high on the opening 15-minute candle. The next day, put in its high. It did kind of have a nice little mini break of the early high here. But still, you'll notice put in its high of day in the morning. All right, then the next day, put in its high at the open pretty much. And then Friday, Friday was kind of interesting. Put in its high 10:06. Almost, I thought it was going to break here, never did, and just straight sideways. What I'd like to see, my favorite setup on this, which I think has potential because it's a lower float stock and really super beaten up now, you could have a nice short covering bounce one of these days, right? What I'd like to see is a narrow range, kind of like we had on Friday, but you keep in mind Friday was a holiday, or holiday trading anyway. What I'd like to see is a narrow range and an afternoon. I know y'all who know me already know what I'm getting ready to say. An afternoon break to the upside out of that range. That's a pretty good recipe for a decent, quick percentage move higher as shorts cover, right? We may never get that setup, and keep in mind we've got a couple other bounce play setups that may involve a gap as well. So I'm going to watch it with all of those things in mind. I do think this has potential for a decent percentage gain bounce if we get an A+ setup. Anyway, not a lot to watch going into Monday, but this week coming up, we'll find a whole new crop of stocks that'll be in-play stocks to watch for our A+ intraday setups. I'm done babbling. Have a great weekend. I'll see everybody on Monday.